Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Today I am doing something I have never done before. I am going to play one of the missions from HeroQuest, The Frozen Horror. And just to add to the thematic immersion of the event, I have caught a cold. See how good I am to you. The adventure I'm going to play is Xanon Pass. This is the first quest from the Frozen Horror expansion, and it is designed for solo play. That is, one player controlling the Barbarian versus a Zargon player. I do not have a Zargon player here with me, so I will be using the companion app that Hasbro released. There are 3 solo quests in total in the expansion, and they have 2 purposes. One, they're just a fun way to play through a series of missions without having to control an entire team. But also, if you've been playing up to this point with characters other than a Barbarian, if you've had a Warlock, or a Rogue Heir, or a Guardian Knight or something kicking around in your team, these 3 missions give you an opportunity to play as the Barbarian, tool the Barbarian up so that once you start playing the main campaign in this expansion, you have a Barbarian who is of a comparable strength level to everybody else in the team. This is our Barbarian for this adventure. This is the female Barbarian from the expansion pack. I have given her the name Ethel the Mighty. She is going to start this adventure just outside of that iron doorway. A few things to note before we begin. First of all, the Barbarian from this expansion pack is exactly the same as the Barbarian from the core game. So we have 3 dice to attack, 2 dice to defend, 8 body, 2 mind. We are equipped with a broadsword. Furthermore, for this playthrough I will be using the unthreatened movement rule. That means whenever there are no monsters on the board, my Barbarian has a fixed movement of 8 points instead of having to roll the dice for movement each time. I'm not going to front load the video with any more rules explanations at this time. We will just get into it. We will explain things as we go. Let's see what the quest book has to say about our first adventure. Good luck, Barbarian, on this your first of 3 trials. Servants of the Frozen Horror have overrun the fortress that guards Xanon Pass. This is the only pass over the Siberian range, which you must cross to reach Ice Mountain. An iron door is your entry into the fortress. You must find the wooden exit door that leads out to the far side of the pass. So there we go, that seems straightforward enough. Get in, get out, causing as little disruption as possible. I've already laid out the first areas of this map. We have the iron door through which we will enter. There is a wall directly in front of us. There is one closed door to the south. I have muted the app so we do not get tinkly music in the background, and also we will not get any sound effects for things like doors opening. I will read from the screen anything of importance. Let's get started. Our Barbarian pushes open the iron door and enters Xanon Pass. She has a movement of 8 because there are no monsters on the board. That costs us 7 movements to get down the corridor and to the door. According to the app, we did not trigger any traps, so we are in a position to open this door and reveal the contents of the first room. I could play it cautiously, end my turn now and then open the door at the beginning of my next turn, but let's just throw caution to the wind. We are a Barbarian. Let's kick this door open. The door flies off its hinges, revealing a room with a desk, an orc, and a goblin. That's a big threat right from the very start. We have 1 movement point left, not enough to get into contact with the goblin, but we can at least charge the orc and try to remove that orc from play before it has a chance to hit us. With a suitable blood-curdling battle cry, something like "Spoon!" we charge into combat. Here's the orc stat card. They have a defense of 2. My Barbarian attacks with 3, so we do have a good chance of killing this orc immediately. And the Barbarian rolls 3 skulls to attack. Orcs only have 1 body point and 2 defense. Even if my orc rolled 2 shields, 1 wound would still get through and the orc would die. So this is a good start for the Barbarian. Unfortunately, that does finish the Barbarian's turn, so now the Goblin will get to activate. Here's a Goblin stat card. They move 10, attack with 2 dice, defend with 1 dice. So obviously, this Goblin is going to charge in and try to injure the Barbarian. Our Goblin will move to block our path, like so, and attacks with 2 dice. Ouch, that is 2 wounds on the Barbarian. The Barbarian gets a chance to defend, rolling 2 dice. And blocks neither. That is 2 wounds immediately. Not a great start. That does finish Zargon's turn, so now it is time for the Barbarian to activate again. Because there is an enemy on the board, we no longer have a fixed movement of 8, we have to roll the movement dice. We roll 2 movement dice, and for this playthrough, my Barbarian will be rolling the 2 blue dice from the Frozen Horror expansion. And we rolled a big fat 3, that is terrible. But it's okay, we want to deal with this goblin first. Anyway, we roll 3 attack dice. We have rolled a single skull. The goblin does get 1 dice to defend. And it does not. Our goblin is defeated. But it did get a really good swing on the Barbarian before it went down. We've performed our action for the turn, so all we can do now is move, and we only have a movement of 3. We will move to there. As we start our next Barbarian turn, there are no enemies on the board, so we get our movement of 8. Before we go anywhere, we want to search this room for treasure. So that means we select Search Treasure from the app. The app tells us that we must draw a treasure card. There are no special treasures in this room. And the first treasure we have found is one of the new items from the Frozen Horror expansion, the Potion of Warmth. We have a jug that is warm to the touch. We can drink this potion immediately after suffering damage from Ice Storm or Chill spells, or from Ice Vaults or Icy Rivers, and we restore 2 lost body points. If we drink it at any other time, we only restore 1 body point. Well, that's pretty handy considering we just lost 2 body points, but we aren't going to use it just yet. We are going to move down to the door, but I'm not going to risk opening it yet. If there are monsters on the other side, I have already spent my action this turn and they will get the jump on me. I might as well wait a turn. So of course nothing happens on Zargon's turn, and then I open the door, which means I have to move my dice tray a bit. And beyond the door we have found an abomination. Abominations are quite tough, so this should be a challenge for the Barbarian. Of course, there may be traps in this room, but I am going to have to throw caution to the wind and charge in anyway. I cannot search for traps while there is a monster present. Spoon! This is a 3 dice attack. That is 3 skulls. The Barbarian is quite clearly on a mission. Looking at the Abominations card, we can see it has a defense of 3 and 2 body points, so it needs to roll at least 2 shields to survive. And it only rolls 1, so it still takes 2 body points and it does still die. That was unexpected. I thought it might stick around for at least a turn. We begin our new turn. Again, we have 8 points of movement. Before we move anywhere, we are going to search this room for treasure. The app tells us to draw a treasure card. And we have found some jewels. We have found 50 gold coins worth of jewels. That's alright. And now we're going to head over to this door. And as I stand on the space next to the door, the app tells me that I have sprung a spear trap. A spear shoots out of the wall. I have to roll 1 attack dice. I've rolled a shield, which means my Barbarian quickly dodges to one side and the spear misses. My Barbarian is leading a blessed existence at the moment. She's going to finish her turn in front of that door. That gives us a fixed movement of 8 points, as we choose to open this door at the beginning of our next turn. And behind the door we find a skeleton and a zombie. This mission is like a greatest hits at the moment. Now I could stay where I am. This has a couple of benefits. One, it would force the monsters to come to me. They would only be able to attack me 1 at a time. Also, if there is a trap on the other side of the door, I won't trigger it because I'm not moving onto that space. The downside is, of course, one of the monsters would get an attack on me before I had a chance to retaliate. And also, it's not really in the spirit of being a barbarian. So, spoon, I guess. We roll 3 dice to attack the zombie. Our rolling's not so great this time. We only inflict a single point of damage, and the zombie gets to defend with 3 dice. And the zombies have pretty decent defense. They defend with 3 dice. And indeed, the zombie does roll a shield and blocks that incoming damage. This is bad news for the Barbarian. Our turn is over and these monsters are going to beat on us. At this point, the app is going to control the monsters and tell me what they should do. So first, the skeleton advances and attacks. The app also rolls the dice for the skeleton and we can see that it has rolled a hit. We roll our 2 defense dice. And we roll 2 shields, so we have deflected that damage. That's fine. Next up, the zombie attacks. And the zombie also rolled a hit. We roll for defense. And again, we block the incoming damage. That's good, we did not take any damage, we can now retaliate. First we roll our movement dice. That's a 5. And then we choose an enemy to attack. If we look at the stat cards for the two enemies, we can see that they both have the same damage output, but the skeletons are weaker in defense. That means it makes more sense for us to attack the skeleton first. Pro strats. And we roll 2 skulls. The skeleton will need to roll 2 shields on 2 dice, or it is defeated. And it rolls 2 skulls. A great attack, a very poor defense. I'm not going to move at the moment, I'm going to stay exactly where I am. That will finish my turn. I will have to face another attack from the zombie. And again, we must defend 1 hit. Which we managed to do. This is going well. Next up, I get to attack again. I'm not going to bother rolling the movement dice because I'm not intending to move until this zombie is defeated. We have rolled 2 skulls. The zombie will need to roll 2 shields. And it rolls 1, but it needed 2, so the zombie is also defeated. With that zombie dead, I could make a move action, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until it ticks over to my next turn. 2 reasons. First of all, if I wait until my next turn, I get a fixed movement of 8 points because there are no monsters on the board. Secondly, I want to search this room for traps before I move. So I'm going to search for traps now, and it should be noted, in the American version of the rules, searching for traps is separate from searching for secret doors. In the UK rules that I am used to, searching for traps and searching for secret doors is a single combined action. I always play that searching for traps and secret doors happens at the same time. It speeds up gameplay a little bit. So basically, this search action will reveal any traps or any secret doors in this room, but it will not reveal treasure, which is still a separate action. And according to the app, we find neither traps nor secret doors, so we can safely advance through the room. We will open this door and see what lies beyond. That took 3 movement points, so I do have enough movement points to make it to the next door. I am going to throw caution to the wind and move through the room without searching, just to keep this playthrough ticking along, and also, it's more exciting if I do trip over a couple of traps along the way. But excitement is one thing, foolishness is another. I am not going to open that door, because if there are any monsters on the other side, they will get to attack me before I get to attack them. And so we wait. We press our ear to the door. Do we hear anything on the other side? No, because this game doesn't work that way. But at the start of our next turn, we are going to open the door, and of course we still have a fixed movement of 8 points. And beyond the door we have found a treasure chest. Yay! We also found 2 goblins. Boo. Also, no doors. Possibly a secret door in here. Let's clear out the goblins and then we will search for traps and doors. I'm only going to move 1 space into the room just in case there are traps. Let's start battering these goblins. We will take out the one to the north first. We have rolled 2 skulls. Goblins only get 1 defense dice, so it cannot possibly defend that incoming damage and dies instantly and easily. Unfortunately, that finishes my turn. The other goblin gets to attack with 2 dice. Computer says no. So now I'm going to attack the second goblin. I'm not going to roll for movement again because I don't intend to move this turn. That is another chunky hit on the goblin that it cannot hope to deflect. That will do nicely. I don't have any actions to search this turn, so I'm going to stay exactly where I am, wait for my next turn to start, and then the first thing I will do is search for traps and secret doors. Never trust a treasure chest. Frustratingly, there are no traps and there are no secret doors, which means we have wandered all the way through this area of the map for absolutely no purpose. This is not the way we were supposed to come. The good news is we can wait a turn, we can now search for treasure. There should be something good in this treasure chest at least. Apparently, there's 75 gold coins. That'll do, I suppose. Now at this stage in the game, frustratingly, we have to retrace our steps right back to our entry point to the dungeon. That is not something that's going to be a very interesting thing to look at in a playthrough, so I am going to time warp. There's absolutely no harm in doing this because there are no monsters on the board, there's no ticking time clock we're racing against. We simply need to get back to our starting position. And by the power of editing, here we are back at the door. As I was going back through the rooms, I did realise there were a couple of rooms that I hadn't searched for traps and secret doors. I did that on the way back. It revealed nothing. I have also searched this long corridor that I am standing in for traps, also revealed nothing. So we are back basically where we started. Only this time, we are going to travel north, starting out with a movement of 8 spaces. Once we've moved up to the corner of the corridor, we can peep around the corner, so that's what we're going to do, and that will reveal anything along this long passageway. Hey look, a wall! That appears to be a running theme with this dungeon. But we are going to begin a fresh turn with a movement of 8. We're going to step into this corridor and search it for traps. The app tells me there are no traps and no secret doors in this corridor. Never mind. Also, it should be noted you cannot search the corridors for treasure. I know there were a couple of rooms that we have been through that I also forgot to search for treasure. I could have done that as I was making my way back to the start of the dungeon, but I thought what the heck, let's just get on with it. Knowing my luck, I would have summoned some wandering monsters anyway. Let's keep moving. Our current move gets us as far as that. We go again. And at this point we have to stop to peer around the corner. And according to the app, still nothing. This is a really boring bit of the dungeon. I have another 4 points of movement, and I may as well do another search for traps and secret doors. And the app tells me there are no traps and no secret doors. However, it does tell me that from this position I can see just around the corner ahead of me, and there is another wall. Just there. We start a new turn, we get another 8 movement points. My barbarian is getting very restless, she wants to hit something in the head. We use 2 movement to get to the end of the corridor, we peer around, and we see nothing. We continue. We reach the next corner, that's 5 movement points total, we peer around, we see nothing. Why is there nothing in this dungeon? We continue. We get to this space and the app tells me to stop because monsters have appeared. It looks like we have stumbled into a wandering monster trap. These are so well concealed that you can never find them, and when you step on them it automatically summons the wandering monsters for this dungeon, and in this case it's 2 skeletons. It's like being in the catacombs in Dark Souls 3. Flipping skeletons just jumping out all over the place. And because they have appeared as wandering monsters, they do get to immediately attack me. So, let's see what the app says. The first skeleton rolls 2 shields, that's no good for them. But the second skeleton does roll a hit, so we must defend. And we do roll a shield, so we defend that attack. That's fantastic. I've just checked the rules for the wandering monster traps. After you have sprung them, you do still get to take an action if you have an action to take, so I can immediately attack one of these skeletons. Let's go for the one in front of us. Only 1 skull. The skeletons defend. And they roll double shields, but it's the wrong kind of shield. We smash one of these skeletons. Unfortunately, after completing that action, my turn is over, so we're going to face another attack from this skeleton. And the skeleton is angry. That is a double hit. I'm going to have a hard time defending that. And indeed, I take 2 wounds. That's not great, I am down to 4 wounds. I do have that potion of warmth, but I'm going to hold on to it for now. Regardless, we have a new turn, we need to roll for movement. We get a 9, that's decent. And we are going to teach this skeleton not to mess with a barbarian. We roll 2 skulls. The skeleton will need to roll 2 shields on 2 dice. It rolls 1, but it needed 2. We defeat the second skeleton. So we have a movement of 9, we are going to continue down to the corner and peer around, and we can see that there are 2 doors. Now remember, we are trying to find the exit to this dungeon, and I know the exit will not be in any of the rooms in that quarter, because we have entered through the iron door, we must exit through the wooden door, and the wooden door will be on an edge of the board. So it can't possibly be in any of those rooms. However, in the Frozen Horror expansion, they have introduced tunnels. When you find a tunnel, it will teleport you to another area of the board. So, do we go through these doors and hope there is a tunnel in one of these rooms that will lead us where we need to go? Or do we continue exploring, hoping to find somewhere that will lead us to the edge of the board? For the moment at least, I think I'm going to continue south down this passageway, at least take a look around the corner and see what's there. So we reposition the camera, hoping on hope that there will be a continuation of the dungeon down through this area of the board, and then we move 3 spaces to the corner of the passageway. And from here we can see a few things. One is a wall, naturally, but we have also found a closed door. I think we are going to step up to this door, finish our turn, start the next turn with 8 movement points, kick open the door and go this way. So as we begin a fresh turn, let's open the door. Oh, and this is exciting! There is a crossbowman in the room. The crossbowmen are new to the Frozen Horror expansion. In group missions you can actually employ them as mercenaries to come and help you, but in this particular adventure, this one is a villain. It's time to yell our battle cry and go and kick some butt. However, as I enter the room, the app tells me to stop, because I have stepped on some treacherous icy ground. Uh-oh, bad things are about to happen. When you step on the slippery ice, you can skip the event if you are wearing snowshoes of speed. I am not. So we place the slippery ice tile on the board, and now I have to attempt to keep my balance. I have to roll 1 combat dice. So we place my dice tray, and we cross our fingers. I have rolled a skull. I cannot imagine that is a good thing. And yet, somehow, apparently it is. When I told the app that I had rolled a skull, it just closed down the slippery ice event. I have gone back and checked the rules book, and indeed, when you step on the slippery ice square, you roll a combat dice. If you roll a white shield, you fall over and your turn ends. If you roll any other result, you can continue moving. However, it is worth noting that every time you enter a new square with slippery ice on it, you roll again. Fortunately, I have 8 movement, so we can easily navigate the ice and go and have a chat with this crossbowman. So we scoot around the edge of the room. Fortunately, we didn't trigger any more traps. I didn't really think about the fact there might have been more traps around the edge of the ice. That would be the kind of thing an evil Xanon player might do. But we have made it into base contact with the crossbowman. We are going to attack. Looking at the stats for the crossbowman, we can see that they attack with 3 dice, they defend with 3 dice, and they have 2 body points, so they are pretty tough. We do get 3 dice to attack though, so there is a chance we could kill this crossbowman with a single hit. We roll 2 skulls. That is enough to kill the crossbowman, as long as the crossbowman does not roll any shields. And the crossbowman does not roll any shields, at least not the kind it needs. We inflict 2 damage. And this is interesting. When I went to the app to input the damage for the crossbowman to indicate that he had been defeated, this text box came up. Terrified by your presence, the crossbowman begs for mercy and offers their crossbow in exchange for their life. The crossbow is actually a weapon from the core game. It's stupidly powerful. It allows you to roll 3 combat dice at range. You can shoot at any monster you can see. Of course, you cannot use it when you are adjacent to an enemy, but that shouldn't really concern the Barbarian, as the Barbarian also has the ability to roll 3 dice in close combat as well. So this just makes my Barbarian super powerful. And then tapping next on the app, it says while you were inspecting the crossbowman fled. Remove the crossbowman miniature from your table. Now here's the thing, that's a pretty neat event, but not quite as sophisticated as it could have been. It didn't really give me the option of saying yes or no when the crossbowman offered me the crossbow. It would have been nice to actually have that option. You either say yes, the crossbowman gives you the crossbow, but then the crossbowman flees and then may come back later on with reinforcements or something like that, or you can say no, in which case the crossbowman fights to the death. Considering there was no actual selection process there, I literally had to take the crossbow. I'm going to assume that no further interactions will occur with that crossbowman, but it is something that a good Xanon player could perhaps expand into more of an interactive event. Add a hint more roleplay to the game. Regardless, that ends the turn. We are now ready to continue with a new turn and open that door. I get a standard movement of 8. Before I move, I am going to search this room for treasure. I really want to find a healing potion. I didn't find a healing potion, but I did find a second potion of warmth. There are 2 of these in the Frozen Horror expansion. Obviously, I didn't shuffle the treasure deck very well. Let's go and open the door now. And beyond the door is nothing. I feel there might be a bit too much nothing in this dungeon. I get it, they're breaking you into the Frozen Horror gently. Because you are the Barbarian on your own with no equipment, they can't make it too difficult. But perhaps they could have condensed the size of this dungeon. I mean, I'm trying to make it through Xanon Pass, I'm not walking to Mordor. We have 6 movement points left. We are going to go to the end of the corridor and peer around. And from here we have, you guessed it, another wall. However, the corridor is completely open all the way down to the other corner. So I'm going to head that way, and that means repositioning the camera again. From here, I do have 4 movement points left. I'm going to use them. I may activate a trap, but whatever, let's go for it. Fortune favours the bold. I did not activate any traps. I start a new turn with 8 movement points, and now I will search for traps and secret doors in this corridor. Which reveals nothing. Just a little bit too much nothing in this dungeon. So I'm going to make my full move of 8. So I have moved my 8 spaces, and when I have input that movement into the app says that I can now see the square just around the corner, and I don't agree with the app on this really. In the rules it says to work out line of sight, draw an invisible line between the centre of your square and the centre of the target square. If it crosses something like a wall, you can't see it. And if you draw a line from the centre of the square I'm on to the square around the corner, it definitely crosses over the corner of the wall. Personally, I think you need to be 1 space closer to be able to see around the corner. But the app tells me I can see around the corner, and that puts me in trouble because there's a monster there. It's actually one of the new gremlins. This is a problem for me because gremlins nick things. My turn is going to end with me in a very precarious position where I may lose some equipment. The gremlin charges to attack. And it has chosen to attack me and rolls 2 dice. It has rolled 2 hits. I get my 2 dice to defend. And I defend 1 hit, but I also take 1 hit. I am down to 3 wounds. If I die because of a technicality regarding line of sight, I will not be pleased. On the plus side, the gremlin didn't steal any of my stuff. When they activate, they either attack or steal something. I guess they would only choose to steal something if they start their turn adjacent to you, because after stealing something, they try to run away. And of course, if they've already moved to get into contact with you, they can't then steal something and run away because they've already used their move action. Anyway, it's my turn to attack the ice gremlin, and ice gremlins are really tough. They defend with 3 dice and have 3 body points. These are not weak little goblin type characters. That's not going to be enough to kill him, but hopefully we'll put some damage on him. And the gremlin actually rolled a shield, so it's only 1 point of damage. The gremlin still has 2 wounds left, and working on the assumption that if they start adjacent to me they will steal something from me, I'm going to back away a little bit. Just 1 space. Now the gremlin activates, it moves 1 space towards me, and the app completely debunks how I thought the AI might work. The gremlin is going to steal something from me. It says the item cannot be the armor or shield you are using, nor a weapon you are wielding. Do you have an unequipped item which can be stolen? Yes, I have a potion of warmth. I have to remove the potion of warmth from my character sheet. Easy come, easy go. So I begin my turn by rolling my attack. 2 skulls. The gremlin gets 3 dice to defend. And it does roll 2 shields, but it's the wrong kind. It takes 2 damage. That's 3 total. That will be enough to kill it. We remove the ice gremlin from the board. And check it out. You recover the stolen item from the ice gremlin. Add the item back to your hero's character sheet. Hooray! It is worth noting there that if I hadn't backed away from the gremlin would not have moved before stealing an object from me. That means after stealing the object, the gremlin would have run away, and gremlins move 10 spaces, so the chances of me catching up with it and killing it were quite remote. So by backing off that 1 space and making the gremlin come to me, I actually was able to recover my item. In all that excitement, I forgot to roll my movement dice, so I'm going to do that now. I got a 6. Let's move to the corner and have a proper look around. We can see all the way to the top of the board, and there's nothing there. Right, let's keep going. I'm going to use the rest of my movement. Fortunately, I did not activate any traps. At the start of my next turn, I get 8 movement points, and I am going to search for traps and secret doors. There's nothing there, so I'm going to move up to the corner and peer around. We have found another wall, but we have also found a door. We have a few more movement points, we will use them. And frustratingly, As we stand on this space, we have activated another wandering monster trap. 2 more skeletons appear from nowhere and attack immediately. So 1 skeleton appears before us and 1 behind us. Fortunately, the first skeleton misses, but the second skeleton makes up for it. But we roll double shields. That's amazing. That is a big roll for us because we are down to 3 wounds, remember? Unfortunately, we've already used an action this turn to search, and that means I don't get a chance to retaliate this turn, and I'm going to have to face another 2 attacks from these skeletons. The first skeleton rolls double shields, but again, that second skeleton is really in a mood. And again, we've done it! We rolled a double shield again. That is fantastic. The app decided not to move any of the enemies, so they're staying right where they are, and that means it's now my turn. I'm going to attack the skeleton in front of me, and then I'm probably going to try and make a dash up to the top of the board because I'm getting really badly beaten up, and we know there has to be a door out of this dungeon on the edge of the map somewhere, and the only bit of the edge of the board we haven't explored is that bit at the top. Yes, the door to my left looks very tempting. I'm sure there's some tasty treasure in there that I am running away from, but I just want to get out of the dungeon at the moment. So let's attack this skeleton directly in front of us with our broadsword. We have rolled 2 skulls. Skeletons defend with 2. And rolled 2 of the wrong kind of shield, so that skeleton is destroyed. I do still have a move. I should have rolled for movement at the beginning of the turn. I'll do it now. And we've got a 7. And our fearless barbarian is going to run that away. Skeletons are slow, they only have a movement of 6, so even though this beastie is going to chase me, he isn't going to reach me. He only goes to there. At the beginning of my turn, I roll my movement dice. That's 8. Now I'm going to equip my crossbow and shoot the skeleton. 2 skulls. Skeleton defends, and completely fluffs it. We remove the skeleton from the board. I could move, I could go and peer around the corner, see if the door is there, but I'm not quite ready to do that yet. I've used my attack action for the turn already, so I will wait until the next turn. I will get a fixed movement of 8 points for the unthreatened movement rule, and then we will explore the corner. We go 1 space, we peer around the corner, and our final challenge awaits. We have found the way out, but it is guarded by an ice gremlin. Let's step around the corner and shoot this ice gremlin with our crossbow. Fortunately, there were no sneaky traps on that corner space, so now we roll for our attack. 2 skulls, not enough to kill it, but hopefully enough to inflict some damage. Gremlins defend with 3, and blocks 1, so we get 1 point of damage on the gremlin. Unfortunately, that means the gremlin is going to retaliate. The gremlin charges in, and the app has gone for stealing an item again, so we're going to let the gremlin take one of our potions of warmth. Hopefully, we can kill it next turn. It's our turn, we roll for movement. That's a 5, and then we equip our broadsword and hit the gremlin. 3 skulls, that's massive, because even though the gremlin has 3 defense dice, it only has 2 wounds remaining, so it will need to roll at least 2 shields to survive. And dice do hate me. The gremlin survives the attack. It only takes a single wound. That is not enough to kill it. Now, I could retreat, but I cannot outrun that gremlin. It's going to catch me. It's going to attack me. I may as well just stand my ground. And the little git is going to steal something else off me. It's going to take my other potion of warmth. On the plus side, that means it hasn't attacked me. On the plus side, it's got nowhere to run away, taking those items with it, so I can now just hit it again with my sword and hopefully kill it. This is a problem with the companion app. When it comes to something that is a little bit more complicated, like the ice gremlins, it just doesn't have the AI in place to use them correctly. Really, this ice gremlin shouldn't even be bothering to try and steal stuff off me, because it's got nowhere to run away to. The idea with the ice gremlins is they will take an object, they will then run away. If you don't catch them, you remove them from the board and that item is gone forever. But in this particular situation, the gremlin should really have been focusing on attacks, A good Xanon player would know that and would use the gremlin accordingly. For basic enemies, the ones that just like to run at you and hit you over the head with stuff, the app is fine. For these gremlins, not so good. We roll for movement. 7. We attack with our broadsword. Just a single skull this time. But the gremlin does not defend. We finally take down this annoying gremlin. And because we have killed the gremlin, we recover our 2 potions. Now, I'm not keen on just wandering down this corridor to get to the exit without searching it first for traps. I know this game has a nasty habit of popping traps where you least want them to be, so I'm going to wait a turn, and then on my next turn I will start by searching for traps and secret doors. And it seems that I was right to be suspicious, because there is a trap in this corridor. The app tells me that this space right here is suspicious. Normally, of course, a Xanon player would not put down a skull token to mark a suspicious space. It's up to the players to remember that, but for the benefits of this video, just to keep things clear, I'm going to mark that square accordingly. Naturally, in our following movement, we are going to attempt to jump that space. So we move 4, and now we roll 1 combat dice. We roll a skull. Of course, we have triggered the trap. A deadly spear of ice falls from the ice cavern ceiling. Record 1 body point of damage on your character sheet. I move on to the space, I take 1 point of damage, and my turn is over. I have just 2 wounds remaining. Any thoughts I may have had about going back and exploring through some of these closed doors are well behind me at this stage. I just want to leave. I want to go home and have a nice warm cup of cocoa, wrap myself up in a blanket, and forget all about the frozen horror. And indeed, on my next turn I will have 8 movement points, more than enough to get through the door and escape. I have made it out of this dungeon. See you later. We have defeated the servants of the frozen horror, or more likely quietly snuck past them rather than actually engaging them in combat. We have made it to the wooden exit door and we have found our way to Xanon Pass. Hooray for us, this is a win. But really quite a struggle. We got down to 2 wounds. If the AI on the app had been better for the gremlins, I get the impression we may well have died because that gremlin would have been choosing to attack us rather than rob us. And in that situation, facing a 3 dice attack from the gremlin on multiple rounds probably would have been more than enough to take out the barbarian. So it was a victory, but it really doesn't feel like much of a victory. I did get the crossbow off of the crossbowman, who never did come back to cause any more trouble. I also found 2 potions of warmth, which is very useful, and I found 125 gold, just enough to buy a helmet. And that is exactly what I will do with that money, because I really need that extra defense dice. I'm pretty good at taking down enemies, but with only 2 defense dice, it's quite easy to accumulate wounds, and without a wizard, without other allies to help, it's a bit of a struggle. So there we have it, Ethel the Barbarian has survived her first of 3 trials, although she did not face any of the frozen horror's most dangerous foes. Surely there are dark shadows looming behind her, and even more dangerous threats await. But that's for another day. Do please let me know if you would like to see this adventure continue. Of course, it will also depend on how many people actually watch this video. These videos do take a lot of time, a lot of effort. There may be a few mistakes, a few errors in this video. But hopefully, it has been enjoyable and hopefully it has shown you how these adventures play out. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you have really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye-bye.